When I was 14, I did work experience on a big ice-breaking ship in Sweden. I just love the whole camaraderie. I miss the kind of culture behind it. It's a little bit different in Europe about how you be a chef and what you do and how you get into it. In the beginning, in the younger years, work was my life. It became my lifestyle. He pushed me to the point of breaking, basically. When everything fell down, he picked me up again and kept going. You know, a bit like you're training for a sporting team. That's what brought me to Australia.
Yeah.
The mother of my children. You need to allow yourself to make mistakes.
Right.
And learn from it. You see someone nearly half your age and they work so much harder and you'll be like, no, I got to push harder. I got to work harder. Because being a chef, you become very competitive. Just to know that, you know, they were here last week and they come back again because they really loved it.
Yeah.
Like that is probably the biggest reward you can get as a chef. You know, I've always liked tractors.
Okay.
So I think I would probably been a farmer.
What is that one dish that you can eat every single day?
The one ingredient I could eat every day would be eggs. The one dish, probably pasta.
Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel and another episode from Passion to Profession. I'm your host Vaidehi and today we have a special guest at our studio. He is from Europe. He started his journey as a chef in Europe and then moved to Australia. He has an experience of over 4 decades in this industry. Let's welcome Chef Jonas.
Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you.
So before we dive into your journey as a chef, I would really like to know, where did you first realize that you love cooking?
I think when I was 14, I did work experience on a big ice-breaking ship in Sweden. And in Sweden, it's compulsory to do military service. The guys that were in the kitchen, they were doing the military service and they're all professional chefs. And I remember sitting there on a bucket one day peeling potatoes and I thought this is the greatest thing in the world. So I came home to mum and dad after about 3 days, I think it was. And I said, I'm going to be a chef.
Oh, okay.
And that's how it all started.
Yeah, so like peeling potatoes was your motivation.
I just loved the whole camaraderie in the kitchen.
It's just one task, but then how it goes in the entire process, it's just...
That's right.
Yeah.
And to see what happened from that
just one potato to an amazing palette.
Until it's on the plate, basically.
Since I mentioned like you started like 4 decades ago, I'm sure it must be very different. And again, in Sweden and in Australia.
Yeah.
So like how did you see these things change over the years?
Oh, well, technology has a lot to do with it. You know, obviously with, you know, different ways of cooking things. Same how produce has changed as well. Like from, you used to be able to only get big carrots. Now you can get the small ones and you can get different colors and that. So a lot of that is what I've seen changed over the years.
So you started your in Italian cuisine and then moved to different, or just
I think it was more back in those days. It was really the higher end fine dining was really influenced by France.
Oh, okay.
Very, very influenced.
So did you get a chance to work in any fine dining restaurants or?
I did quite a few of them in Europe, so which was really nice.
Because the culture there is completely different than what we have in Australia.
Yeah,
so what was that? What was the few things that you really miss, or it's just better here?
I miss the kind of culture behind it. It's a little bit different in Europe about how you be a chef and what you do and how you get into it. And I miss that a bit. I don't miss the hours because you work a lot more hours in Europe than you do here.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
They don't have any like a work-life balance as such?
Maybe now it's been, you know.
But back then it was...
Yeah. I've been in Australia for 26 years now, so...
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
it's been a long time.
Yeah. So you are more Australian than you are...
I would say so.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Since you are working in the industry for like almost 40 years now,
yeah.
So it comes with odd hours, long hours. So how did you manage with your personal life, your hobbies and all of that with committing dedicatedly to the kitchen?
I think in the beginning, in the younger years, work was my life.
Right.
It became my lifestyle. You know, I missed a lot of the family reunions in Sweden because I was always working. I lost a lot of my childhood friends. You know, they just stopped contacting me, and
that's difficult. Yeah.
All my friends, both people in the industry, basically. You know, I became quite passionate about it at a young age.
Right.
And yeah, I sacrificed a lot for it. So I guess that's probably the big one. Um, yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of sacrifice, but you must have had an amazing experience or your amazing mentor, your colleagues over the years, which kept you going, I'm
Oh
sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
There was one person in particular in Sweden that really, I guess, shaped me into the person I am today.
Right.
He sort of took me under his wing for a few years and really made sure. And he was the one that actually got me to go overseas the first time. I went to London and worked in a hotel there. And he pushed me to the point of breaking, basically. And
Yeah.
then, when everything fell down, he picked me up again and kept going. So, a bit like you're training for a sporting team, right?
So, and it's so good to see that you still remember that person.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's not all good memories. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
There was a lot of shouting on his behalf.
I mean, I'm sure that's what you remember until now, that because being tough is necessary, but that keeps you going as well.
Yeah. So, it pushed me very hard to really strive to do better each time I did something.
He saw that in you.
Oh, yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
because I mean, it's really important to find that mentor. And I think he was your mentor back then.
Yeah. He was my mentor. He was the one that set me on a very straight path. So before that, it was a little bit, here and there and, jumping around a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, what motivated you, or what was your thought like before moving to Australia? What was that decision-making factor that, I'm going to move to Australia? Because Europe is a very good place. I mean, for hospitality industry, it's a wonderful place to be. So
A girl.
Yeah?
Yeah. That's what brought me to Australia. Yeah. The mother of my children. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. So we met in Italy when I lived in Florence. I worked at a restaurant there, and she worked as a nanny for a family, and we met through mutual friends. And
Okay.
yeah.
So it was Bumble back then, mutual friends?
Yeah. That's right. Right. Yeah. There was no social media back in those days.
Yeah.
Nothing like that. We met there and we lived together in Florence for nearly a year, I think.
All right.
Then we went to Sweden for a while, and then we kind of looked at each other and went, right, let's try Australia. And 26 years later, I'm still here.
So definitely you loved Australia.
Oh, hands down. Like,
was it like love at first sight?
I think it was. I actually felt when I stepped off the plane, the minute I put my feet on Australian ground, I was like, oh, man, that feels good. So it's definitely a country that I'm going to live in. So
that's beautiful. And I heard that you loved biking. I mean,
I do like motorbikes.
Do you plan to get back on it?
I would really like to get on bikes again. I've had a year break for a few years now.
But like during like working as a chef, I'm sure it would be difficult to get on a bike even when you started. So how did you manage doing that? Because it's difficult. You get tired after a long shift.
Oh, if you want it bad enough, you can do it. Yeah.
When did you start with it?
Bikes?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Quite a while ago. I can't.
Did anyone introduce it to you?
No. It was just, something I tried, and I went, you know what? I like this. So yeah, it's always been around for me, so on and off.
So it helped you maybe just loosen up.
It was my me time. It was the time where it was just me. It was the bike and the road, basically. Yeah, I did a lot of good thinking.
So it's your zen to be on a bike.
Very much so.
Yeah. So is it important? What do you think? Like, is it important to have good interest or hobbies outside of work, which is like not even remotely close to what you do?
Yeah.
Like, does it help focus better on your work? What do you think?
I think it does. Yeah. So I also play drums, which is another thing that, I come home sometimes and I sit down behind the drums, and it's another kind of creative outlet.
Right.
So I do that. Try to stay as fit as I can, But yeah, especially with the drums or the bikes, it gives this sense of it's just me, and it makes sense in my head.
Right.
The world makes sense. So,
and when you have that sanity, it really helps you like work better or do better at, your workplace, right?
It helps you keep focused.
Yeah. Because you're relaxed, you're calm in your mind, because you have let loose.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, I guess, going for a massage, you feel
Yeah.
good afterwards.
Yeah.
So.
It's like a massage for your brain.
Yeah, basically.
What do you think are the biggest trends or challenges that you faced over these years? Like anything in particular that you remember, like you thought that you messed it up back then, but now that you think it was really necessary for your career to take that route?
I think you need to allow yourself to make mistakes,
Right.
definitely.
100%, yeah.
And learn from it. Trends is sort of, trends come and go. It's like fashion.
Right.
One day your denim jeans are super popular, the
Yeah.
next day no one wants to see them. Right? And it's the same with food. One day it's the sushi roll in the corner, and the next day it's a big steak or something like that. I think with food, it's as long as it tastes really good,
Right.
and it looks good, that is enough for me. That speaks to my heart straight away.
And what do you enjoy cooking the most?
Food that makes people happy.
But like, I'm sure you might have a favorite cuisine that you really, any day you would cook that without any complaint.
If I'm at home, I often cook meat.
Mhm.
A couple of my kids really like meat. They will eat that. A lot of it is, I don't know, I guess you can call it modern Australian. Just a bit of a mix of things and
Yeah.
flavors. And I used to love cooking Italian, especially after I lived in Italy.
Right.
Then I used to make pasta at home all the time.
Like from scratch? Or?
Yeah.
Oh,
To the
wonderful.
point where the family just goes, oh, God, are we having pasta again?
Yeah.
Can we have something else now? So,
So you just try it and try it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
But
So,
it's fun, I think. But like, do you, I'm sure you're working in the kitchen most of the times
Yeah.
while you're at work. And then coming back, do you really like cooking then? Or you just
at
want to...
home?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still love it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, my family is pretty close. We all try and, especially Saturdays, which
Mhm.
is my day of cooking at home, we all try and sit down together and have dinner together, the whole family. It's important, I think. I love it. I love hearing them talk about it and, seeing their smiles, and especially when it's just dead silence at the dinner table.
Yeah.
You go, yeah, I did
Yeah.
it this time. So,
That's good. And like talking about changing things in the industry. So things are evolving with time. The other day I was talking to one of my colleagues. She said that back in the time when there were like no phones, they used to talk through fax. They used to have these little pagers. So that was for a particular, for admin. So how was it different for chefs back then, and how is it different now with the tech? How has it made your life easier?
Wow, that's a good question. Food still has to be cooked, right?
Yeah.
So, well, I guess with technology comes more consistent good results. It's not so difficult anymore to cook a perfect steak if you have the right tools. When I first started, the only thing you had was a frying pan
Right.
and your steak,
Right.
and you had to get it right every time. So I guess that's the advantage of technology, how it's progressing.
Because the food is same. The recipe might tweak a little, but the
Yeah.
food is still same. But I really wonder sometimes, like, how was it back like few years ago in the kitchen? Because every year new appliances, new tech is changing every industry.
Yeah.
And I think people have stopped cooking at home now, and they just order everything. So I think the turnaround times for the restaurants, for these big kitchens, or even manufacturers had to be a lot more.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Definitely. It's you try and, the more time you can sell a table, the more money you're going to make. The better it's going to be for the business. Yeah. So, certain things you just still can't rush. So, like the food has to be, you have to take your time with it.
its
to
own
do
sweet
it
time.
properly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Like the steak has to be cooked for these many minutes. You can't just...
that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
But over these years, so have you always worked as a restaurant chef, or have you managed restaurants, or have you also worked in the manufacturing units?
I've done pretty much everything you can do in food, from the very high-end restaurants to five-star hotels to the staff canteen, or like you said, manufacturing, where that's another different ball game again, you know, where
100%,
you
yeah.
got to make, say, 6,000 liters of sauce in
Which
one day.
look and taste exactly the same.
Exactly. It has to be like that every time you make it, you know. I have always been quite driven by recipes. I know other chefs hate them.
Okay.
For me, it's more about if you have a good recipe, you'll get the consistency and people will come back for it. Other people may think, okay, well, if I make it the same for them all the time, they're going to get sick of eating it.
So I need to constantly...
constantly change things. And it all depends on what sort of industry part of the food scene you're in. So manufacturing, for instance, very important that it's got to be the same every single time.
Right.
In catering, for instance, you have more freedom. You can play around a bit
Right,
more.
as per the client's requirements.
Yeah, that's right. So,
what did you enjoy the most out of these? Or maybe rate them from top 3.
I would say 20 years ago, I would have said restaurant kitchen, hands down. You know,
yeah, you would work.
Friday, Saturday night service, loved it.
Yeah.
As you get older, different. I think one of my very last jobs before the one I'm in at the moment was a big manufacturer. Something very different I hadn't really done before. I enjoyed some of the logistical challenges that I had there.
Right.
I had a very large team as well, so nearly 100 people. You know, that was, had its challenges to control that many different personalities.
Yeah,
you know?
It's a management role.
Yeah.
And then you have to cook as well.
As everything with food, it all has to be within a time limit.
Right.
So,
you can't just take your own sweet time when you're in a manufacturing unit. Yeah.
No. Or at a restaurant. I mean,
yeah, of course.
So it's you got to keep that in mind, and you have to be very conscious as you do it.
Yeah. But where did you love the most? Be honest with me.
What do I love the most?
Yeah.
Probably restaurant kitchen. Yeah.
Because entire conversation, I really found that you missed that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I missed that, after service, you've just sent out the last plate and you look at everyone and go like, yeah, we did a good night tonight. Right. Like, I really missed that.
Yeah. And then everyone's at home with a hearty meal.
Yeah. Do I miss the physicality of it? Not really.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit too old for that.
It's like on the go, constantly or...
Yeah. And you see someone nearly half your age and they work so much harder and you'll be like, no, I got to push harder. I got to work harder. Because being a chef, you become very competitive.
I mean, it's a healthy competition, I feel. Or is it not?
Oh, these days, yeah. It hasn't always been. Yeah. Everything has changed so much as well.
Right.
Like in how we've changed as people in the last 30 years.
Of course,
In
that
terms
makes
of
sense.
how we respect each other differently now to what we did before. And I feel like these days, it's so much nicer to work in a team because it doesn't matter who you are, you're still a human and you mean something, right? Like 30 years ago when I was an apprentice, I meant nothing. I wasn't even the worst, the dirt under their feet. It was like, I grew up the hard way. I got bashed around in the kitchen pretty hard. So,
but maybe that's what made you a good manager. Like when you had someone work with you, like maybe your subordinate, you didn't want to treat them the way that you got treated.
Well, once I started sort of climbing up in the ranks in the kitchen, becoming sort of sous chef, head chef, and that sort of stuff. I remember I was talking to my now ex-wife one day after work. We come home and I was sitting there talking. I was like, why are people, they just don't want to be there? And I said, if I can create an environment where people are actually going to be happy to come to work, they're going to make it so much better. So that was one of the things I tried to do when I came to Australia.
Right. That's beautiful because, it's really important to have a healthy work environment for anyone to thrive, be it like a kitchen or an office desk. A good manager is really important, I feel. And I'm sure you learned it with years because of the experiences that you got in your early days.
Yeah, that's right. You're not just there to teach them how to cook, you're there to give them a shoulder to cry on. Or, someone to say, listen, probably shouldn't have done that. You got to do something different next time. Stop hanging around that person. They're not good for you. So
you have to keep an eye.
Yeah, you become more than just the chef, right? You become, like I said about the role model I had in Sweden, that, still today, I remember the good and the bad times.
It's good to have someone like that.
I
Yeah.
think it's very important, especially for young people.
Any funny or hilarious moments in the kitchen that like still think about and give a good laugh about?
I think one of the very, very first jobs I had in Sweden in a kitchen, they gave me this huge bowl of marinade and they said, right, you need to go and marinate these ribs that we have sitting in a tub. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, there's 2 tubs here. Oh my God, it looks different. And they asked me, they said, do you know what ribs? I said, of course I do. I had no idea.
Yeah.
There was 1 tub of beef bones.
Okay.
And there was 1 tub of ribs. So I marinated the beef bones. And went home and thought, wow, this is great. Back the next day and they go like, why didn't you marinate the ribs? I said, I did. And they go, no, you didn't. You marinated bones, you idiot. Things like that.
And I'm sure being a manager, you have seen your subordinates do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And
do you give a good laugh about it, or are you really mad about it?
Depends on the moment.
Yeah.
Afterwards, nearly all the time. But right in that moment, maybe not.
Anything that you would give a piece of advice to the chefs who are like aspiring chefs, or anyone who is just starting in the industry?
Follow your heart.
Right.
Yeah. Go into it with your heart and your good intentions. And don't be afraid of making mistakes, because you will make a lot of them.
Yeah. And that's that's a good teacher for you.
Yeah.
Your mistakes,
I think as long as you learn from it,
right.
Don't make the same mistake twice. Just try and understand what happens to food in different environments, and what happens to a piece of meat when it's in the fridge, what happens to it when you cook. Like, understand the process in between. I think that's probably my biggest advice is go in there and just go for it.
Go for it.
Yeah.
And that's how you come up with a very nice hearty meal.
Yeah, I think so.
Because I love cooking, but I have never seen a restaurant kitchen like in action. But whenever we are waiting in the queue outside a restaurant, I always think, what must these chefs be doing right now? I mean, they are going bonkers.
Oh, they are stressing.
But again, in saying that, the food's always amazing.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful on the plate. Like, you want to go back to that restaurant again. I think that's an award for a chef when the same people come back to the restaurant.
I think that means more than the paycheck at the end of the day. Just to know that, they were here last week and they're coming back again because they really loved it. That is probably the biggest reward you can get as a chef.
And if you were not a chef, what would your life would look like?
That's a very good question. I've always liked tractors.
Okay.
So I think I would have probably been a farmer somewhere.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like in Australia, or?
Who knows? Probably not in Australia, because I probably wouldn't have gotten here by then, but I've always liked tractors. Because when you drive a tractor, you can wear gumboots.
There's never too late, to be honest.
I know. Yeah. I try every opportunity I get. I try and go and drive someone's tractor. Yeah, I find farming quite mentally satisfying.
Have you tried your hands in the farm before?
Sort of hobby farming. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I have. But it's, I never had the opportunity to do it all the time because I always had to go back to work.
Of course.
Yeah.
But now that you have more time on your hands, so I think you are going to give it a shot.
No, I think I'm too old now. It's a very physical job, right?
Oh, right. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But yeah, that would probably be the one thing. If I wasn't a chef, I'd probably be a farmer.
Oh, okay.
I can drive my tractor.
But that's very close to food again. So you love your food, I'm sure.
That's right. Well, food is amazing. It makes people happy.
And my last question to you, what is that one dish that you can eat every single day?
The one ingredient I could eat every day would be eggs. Love eggs.
Okay.
The one dish, probably pasta. Some kind
the
of
one
pasta
that you
dish.
made?
Yeah.
For your kids?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Some kind of pasta dish. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I mean, I think that comes from your heritage, so...
Yeah.
Beautiful.
As long as I can have some bread with it.
So pasta and bread for the go.
Yeah. That would be the one thing.
Perfect. That was great chatting with you. Thank you for sharing your beautiful experiences with us. And I walked through the journey with you when you shared your experiences from peeling the potatoes to actually managing a team of 100.
Yeah.
It was beautiful to know that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for watching this episode. And if you like it, don't forget to like, share, and leave us a comment as well. See you again. Thank you.